Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Success Talks with Coach T. Mungate. This is a show designed to inspire and motivate you with real-life stories of those people that have made it in life, and also to equip and to empower you with the different tools that one needs to achieve success in different areas of life. And I am your host for this particular edition, Coach Tendai Mungate. Ladies and gentlemen, with me on the show today is a phenomenal woman, amazing woman. She is a lawyer, an animal lawyer, in fact. She's the founder of Speak Out for Animals and also an author, Miss Advocate Ever Chinoda. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Coach.
It's an honor having you on the show. We are very much honored to associate ourselves with you. Advocate, to those people that don't know you, please do introduce yourselves to our viewers.
Thank you. My name is Eva Chinoda. I am a mother of one beautiful daughter. I'm also the founder of Speak Out for Animals, like what the coach has said. Speak Out for Animals is an organization that is registered in Zimbabwe, United States of America, Namibia, and Zambia. It is an organization that is primarily comprised of lawyers who are passionate and dedicated to protect animals using the law. So that is what Speak Out for Animals is. And our key thematic areas are case monitoring, training prosecutors, police, magistrates, and judges. We are also into educating students. We have student chapters at University of Zimbabwe and Great Zimbabwe University. And we are also invested in literature development because wildlife law and animal law is a new field of law. So we've developed quite a number of books that help shape the direction of wildlife law and animal law in the country. So that's what Speak Out for Animals is all about.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you very much, Advocate. So Advocate, how did your journey as an animal lawyer start? You know, it's something that's very unique, and I'm sure our viewers are finding it unique. You know, how did that journey start?
I think it just came naturally. I never dreamt and I never knew that there was something called animal law. But one thing that I know is I've always loved geography. I've always loved the environment. So I did my geography, passed with flying colors at A level. And then when I was about to go to university, I still remember my first option was to study environmental science. And my parents were like, no, we are not going to waste the points. You have to do law because obviously law is the in thing. So I ended up doing law, but I've always been passionate about the environment. So I did the law, and then when I finished, I got an opportunity to work at Zimbabwe Parks and Wildlife as a volunteer for about 6 months. That time they didn't have a specific legal department there. And then from there, I went on from 2012 to 2015 to be a prosecutor. But when I was there, because I had worked at Zimparks, I constantly had people ask me about animal cases, about wildlife cases, because I had a little bit of exposure. And then in 2015, Cecil the Lion happened. And then there was an opportunity again to go back to Zimparks. And then I officially went there as a legal officer and monitored the Cecil the Lion case a bit, and then I got exposed to the opportunity of studying masters in animal law. I got a scholarship, and then I went to Lewis and Clark Law School in the United States to study masters in animal law. And then, boom, here I am. I'm now an animal lawyer. So, yeah, I think it's something that just came naturally. It's not something that I knew of, and it's not something that I planned. But nature took its course, and now I find myself still protecting the environment, protecting the animals, because that's something I'm just naturally passionate about.
Wow. And I'm sure you can agree with me that you're actually the first animal lawyer in Zimbabwe.
Correct. I'm the first, and the only in the world.
In the world?
Yes, Zimbabwe in the world who has studied this program.
Wow, that's amazing. So, Advocate, you're the first. How is it? How is the feeling like? Pioneering something, even in our nation, Zimbabwe. How is it like? How is it?
It feels good to be the first. It definitely feels good. I don't want to lie, but I think the days of being the first and the only are over. Because I think leadership is all about grooming other people, developing the industry. And as I speak right now, I have two of our employees, lawyers, who went to Lewis and Clark to study Masters in Animal Law. And then I also have two others who are studying it online. So by the end of next year, will be 4, actually I think there will be 6 Zimbabweans who would have studied animal law. So yeah, the days of only and whatnot are coming to an end. But I'm so happy because it only shows that whatever work I'm doing is making an impact. There's so much influence that some people have also decided to follow the path to dedicate their careers to protecting animals. So I think it really feels good, and it really shows how important the work is and the level of influence.
Well, thank you very much, Advocate. And I think it emphasizes the importance of leadership, that you have actually reproduced yourself, and we now have other lawyers, coming from you. On the part of reproducing, you mentioned that you are also now, I'm sure now you are now training students. Please talk to us about that.
Yeah, so what has happened is that for the first time in Zimbabwe, we managed to introduce wildlife law as a formal module. So the history behind is that obviously after learning abroad about wildlife law and animal law, the desire was to protect animals through the legal system, like what I've said, and to also disseminate the information that I have. So we approached, as an organization, we approached Great Zimbabwe University and asked them to introduce wildlife law as a formal subject, because in the country, there's no law school which offers animal law or wildlife law. Yet you find that once you graduate and you become a prosecutor or you become a magistrate, you are bombarded with these cases where you need to prosecute somebody who's involved with possession of ivory, pangolin, python, zebra skin, or what have you. Yet you would not have learned on the subject matter. So it then becomes traumatic, it becomes very difficult to prosecute or even to adjudicate a matter involving an animal when you haven't studied on the subject matter. So we then approached Great Zimbabwe, and they said, first and foremost, start student groups and let's see whether there's appetite and interest in the subject matter. So for the past 2 to 3 years, we've been running student clubs. We call them Speak Out for Animals student chapters, where students have been meeting, and we were doing public lectures, informally teaching them and informally just sharing information about protecting animals and what the law says. So this year, 2020, in February, that's when I received the official letter from Great Zimbabwe University, Herbert Chitepo Law School to be precise, saying now you can teach or now you can introduce the subject. So you find that we formally introduced the subject, and the first class was in June 2021, and they just wrote their exams on the 15th of September, and I'm currently marking their exams, and so that's what has happened, that we've elevated from just simple mere student clubs to a formal legal education. And I hope that other universities like University of Zimbabwe, which is a law school, and Midland State University, which is a law school, will also introduce the subject, because that's the whole point, to grow and to be influential. Every lawyer must have an opportunity to choose what they want. And that's what we've basically advocated for. Let anyone and everyone who wants to learn about animals learn. Let anyone and everyone who wants to have an idea about wildlife protection learn. And after all, wildlife belongs to you and me. It belongs to everyone. So it is only better if the lawyers or the prosecutors and the magistrates are equipped. So that's what we're currently working on.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that's great work you're actually doing, Advocate.
Thank you.
Yeah, so moving on, Advocate. This journey has some challenges. What are some of the challenges that you have faced, and how have you overcome some of those challenges?
I faced different challenges depending with the years or with the stages that I've been. You know, when you start an organization at infancy stage, there are challenges that go hand in hand with that level. For example, when I started the organization, the challenges were primarily acceptance, because I was coming from abroad, and you approach universities in the local country and you're telling them, I want to introduce wildlife law, I want to introduce animal law. Cultures are different. The way we view our animals, the way we value our dogs and cats in this country is different from the way the Western people value. So there was a little bit of resistance and obviously misunderstanding, or maybe rather ignorance, as to the importance and the value of animals. So I had to take baby steps in order for me to be accepted to introduce the subject matter, until now, 4 years later, where I've managed to then formally integrate it in the law school. And so those were some of the challenges of acceptability in the society, particularly in this country. And then as the organization was growing, the other challenge, or maybe I'll say the main challenge, is that of being a founder of a non-governmental organization. Now, when I went to law school, we were not taught about non-profit law, how to run a non-governmental organization legally. So it is also something that I have to learn each and every single day. I have to come up with my own way of managing this organization. You learn as you go. And at the same time, you are the founder, you are the vision bearer. You are also not sure what tomorrow holds or what you're going to face. But you still have to be strong, you still have to be bold, you still have to be confident, you still have to pay salaries, you still have to make things work, despite of running or pioneering something new. So I think that's the major challenge of just running an entity that you've not been exposed to or that you've not learned about. And also fundraising also has been a bit of a challenge, because running a non-governmental organization is not commercial work. And when you're a lawyer, you know it's primarily commercial work. So trying to then adjust your skills from being a lawyer, standing in court, to being a business person, going out there begging for sponsorship, begging for donations. Sometimes it feels humiliating and you feel like misunderstood. But when you know what you're supposed to achieve, you then just go ahead and do it because you understand why you're doing it. So those are some of the challenges that I faced, amongst others that I will not perhaps talk about right now.
Wow, I think the good thing is that you overcame those challenges, and I think it's actually a lesson to our viewers that no matter what challenges you're facing, you need to actually overcome them. Viewers, we're going to take a short break. Please do keep commenting, sharing and liking this particular broadcast. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you are commenting, sharing, and liking on this particular broadcast. Today we are at the SOFA headquarters, and we are with Advocate Ever Chinoda. And before the break, Advocate, you were sharing and talking about the challenges that you faced in your journey. But Advocate, for you to be the person that you are, I'm sure there are some principles that have shaped you and developed you into the person that you are. What are the 5 principles you would say have shaped and developed you into the person that you are?
Okay, so I might not talk about 5 of them, but I will just talk about perhaps 2 that have really shaped me and that perhaps somebody may take away from this discussion. The first one, volunteerism. I've seen the benefit of being a volunteer. I know our country is not so much, doesn't have the culture of volunteering because everybody wants to make a living, everybody wants to earn something. But it's not always when you have to be paid. There are certain times where you have to volunteer, and volunteering is more or less like a seed. When you plant a seed, you do not harvest, or the seed does not germinate or grow in that same day. You'll benefit the fruit and it will germinate 2, 3, 10 years later. So that is the same effect with volunteering. Sometimes when you volunteer at an organization, either as a student or after you've just graduated, it appears like it doesn't make sense, or sometimes it feels degrading, but eventually you learn a lot and you also benefit a lot. So I've volunteered at different platforms. Like I've volunteered at Higher Life Foundation. I volunteered for about a year there, but I learned so many things that I can't even describe right now. I learned professionalism, I learned grooming and etiquette, I learned, how to work professionally. I learned so many things when I was just a volunteer, whilst others were earning. And also even in the United States, I've volunteered at different organizations and I've learned a lot. And also the good thing about volunteering is you network, you make friends, you build relationships, and you can't put a value to a relationship. It is those relationships that will then pay off later on, because somebody will then give you a job, or somebody will invite you somewhere, or somebody will tell you about an opportunity that will change your life as a result of volunteering. So I really, really subscribe to that, and I value that. And the other value is integrity and also professionalism. We live in a very difficult world, difficult environment where corruption appears to be the end thing. But it's not everybody who's corrupt, and corruption is a decision. So when you are professional, when you know your job, and when you are able to deliver the results, then you should be confident of the work, despite of these golden handshakes or under the table incentives. So professionalism is one value or one thing that I highly recommend. And I also highly disregard corruption, no matter which age you are. Whether you are just graduating from college, whether you are 10 years old in whichever industry you're working, it does not help you as a person, and it doesn't help the country at large. So just being professional will develop you and will develop the country, and that's what I recommend. That's what I live by.
Wow. Integrity, professionalism, corruption is a choice. The words of our advocate, Ever Chinoda. All right, so Advocate, moving on. You are also an author. Please talk to us about the books that you've written, and the impact that those books are making, even in the animal world, in the animal lawyer world. Yeah.
So I have written a a few books, but I think the main book is the Wildlife Legal Guide, which I developed when I just graduated doing my animal law sometime in 2017. It is a very small book where any layman can read and understand about the laws that govern the use, the possession of wildlife in this country. I realized that wildlife belongs to everyone in this country, lawyers and non-lawyers, communities, villagers, children, elders. So I just simplified the book so that everyone could understand. As a lawyer, I do not take pride in seeing people going to jail for 9 years. But I want everyone to know what the law allows and what the law prohibits. That's why I wrote that book in the most simplest language that everybody or anyone who is in interest can read and understand. So it's called a Wildlife Legal Guide. So I developed that in 2017, and now when we started the wildlife law module at Great Zimbabwe, that's one of the textbooks that are being used. And after the Wildlife Legal Guide, me together with the assistance of the lawyers in the organization, we developed a wildlife law code, which is a compilation of different statutes that govern possession and use of wildlife in the country. So what happens in Zimbabwe is we have about more than 10 different pieces of legislation that regulate use and possession of wildlife. So it becomes difficult and frustrating to know which particular act to use at which time. So what we then did is we just compressed everything and we put it in one book, which is a one-stop shop. So magistrates and prosecutors don't need to guess and don't need to look for or don't need 10 different pieces of legislation to do their work. They now just use that code to refer and do their work efficiently. The Wildlife Law Code is also being used with the students at UZ and also at Great Zimbabwe Law School. We've also developed what we call a baseline survey report, where I was a consultant. This report is just an overview of the wildlife crimes that have happened from 2015 to 2018 in the Kaza, in the Matabeleland area. Right now, as I speak, we're in the process of coming up with a wildlife crime law report for Zimbabwe. I'm sure by December, we'll be having a comprehensive overview of which type of wildlife crimes are common in the country, what are the sentences, what are the common offenders, and stuff like that. So everybody can get to know and learn and see what is happening in as far as wildlife crimes wildlife crime in Zimbabwe is concerned. And then we've also, we are now also as an organization working on a wildlife law casebook. We are reading, analyzing, and then compiling a textbook which has wildlife law cases only, so that prosecutors, police, lawyers, law students can easily refer. Why we are so passionate about developing literature is because we don't have any literature in the country, and this is a new field of law. So if we want this to grow, the only way is to put it in black and white so that people can then refer. Even when I'm not there, the textbook will remain there. So that's why we're so passionate. And also, when you write it down, it, besides it going beyond you, it reaches so many people. People might not be watching this, but whoever has the code wherever they are, they can learn from those different textbooks. So that's some of the work we've done.
It's amazing and very inspiring, actually, that you are a woman also in the nation of Zimbabwe and you're doing this amazing work. And this takes me to the next question, Advocate. What is the importance of women, stepping up, pursuing their purposes and also even stepping up to be leaders of organizations and to be pioneers like yourself? What is the importance of that? You know, there might be a woman who's tuned in and they're giving up on their dreams and they're looking down on themselves. They're saying, I cannot do this. What would be your advice to such a lady?
Of course, the woman is very important for so many reasons. I will not talk about the obvious reasons, but I will just mention the issue of diversity. Women are wired differently from men, emotionally, intellectually, biologically. So your voice matters in your own context. I think that is all I can say. Just bringing your voice in your femininity or the way we are wired as women just brings a whole different flair to the table. Be it decisions that are made, be it decisions, strategies, policies that are made, they are diverse because men and women are biologically, intellectually, physically, emotionally different. So it's that diversity part that I feel that women play a very important role. And to other ladies and women out there who are watching, I just want to say that it's not easy, but if you have a dream, you need to pursue it. You need to pursue it. Yes, we have, like other duties to take care of our husbands, to take care of our kids, to take care of our extended families, mothers, brothers, siblings, what have you. But remember to be true to yourself and remember to stick to your goal and to stick to your dream, despite everything and after everything. Remember, it's you and to be you.
Wow. Remember to be you. Those are the words of Advocate. Advocate, moving on. Are you a reader?
It depends with the context. It depends with the context. I mean, like naturally, as a lawyer, there are too many law books to be, to be read. But generally, I don't read all those motivational books and stuff.
Okay.
I don't do that.
Okay. So what would you say is your way of learning?
I number one, I learn from exposure. I think I'm reasonably exposed. Okay. I've traveled and I continue to travel. So when I get the opportunity to go outside or go somewhere, I learn as I see, as I observe, and as I talk to people. That's how I learn. And then, of course, nowadays we've got a lot of, so many things have gone digital. So that's how I learn. When I was growing up, my dad was a reader. And he would read a lot. And whatever he read from, he would summon us to his dining table every day in the morning, 6 to 6:30 before he leaves to go to work. And then he would teach us the principles that he would have learned from those books. And that's how, I think those are the things that sustain me, and those are some of the principles or some of the knowledge that I use to survive or that I use to, to carry my day-to-day business. But otherwise, I'm not a reader.
All right, that's fine. I think, there are also other forms of learning, and I think we are learning as well, that reading. There are other ways of learning. Thank you very much, Advocate. As we round off the show, it was an honor having you. And what would be your last words of motivation or advice to the viewers who are tuned in?
First and foremost, I speak on behalf of animals, and I would want to say wildlife is our national heritage. You have a responsibility to protect and guard this wildlife. And generally speaking, I would just want to encourage everybody who's watching not to give up on their dream despite the challenges that you face. Remember to do you, and also remember to be yourself.
Thank you very much, Advocate, for those words of advice. Viewers, thank you very much for tuning into this show. Please do follow us on social media. It's Success Talks with Coach T. Mungate on all social media platforms, and also Dreams TV on Facebook and YouTube as well. And also do follow Speak Out for Animals on all social media platforms as well, yes, and follow the amazing work that they are doing. From me, Coach Tendai, and the crew behind the scenes, the Dreams TV crew, thank you very much for watching.